Coming up, Laura Cooper testifies in the impeachment hearings, and later, Iowa City Red Week hosts an eye-opening event on the Pentacrest.
With women's and men's basketball both at home and the last home game at Kinnick approaching, there really is no place like Iowa City.
Stay tuned to see how Iowa teams are utilizing their Hawkeye home advantage later in sports.
It's looking like it's going to be a fantastic weekend to travel home for Thanksgiving. Stay tuned for weather for more.
All that and more coming up on this Thursday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Noah Gowdy. More information is coming out as the impeachment hearings for President Trump continue. One key takeaway from yesterday's hearing was Sondland's testimony, where he claimed that there was a quid pro quo between Trump and Ukraine, meaning that everyone in the Trump administration was, quote, in the loop, end quote. Later that day, Laura Cooper, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Russia, Eurasia, and Ukraine, stated that her staff had received 2 emails in July that were asking about military assistance.
My staff recall having had meetings with Ukrainian embassy representatives during the month of August, and they believe that the topic came up at some point during those meetings, but they don't recall the precise date or specifically what the nature of the discussion was.
The hearings are set to continue today with Fiona Hill and David Holmes testifying. This week marks the university's 7th annual Red Week. The student organization IC Red strives to raise awareness about HIV and AIDS. Yesterday, IC Red hosted a name reading on the Pentacrest. The reading spanned from dawn to dusk. Students and community members were able to sign up for a 5-minute shift in which they read off the names of individuals who perished due to the AIDS virus.
Jesus, George, Luigi, Arthur, Robert T, Carrie, Edith G, Wayne G.
The organization hosts events all week long in an attempt to spread awareness about HIV and AIDS. IC Red will also be hosting a trivia night with student advocates for Planned Parenthood tonight at 6 p.m. and a Coffee for a Cause Friday at 8 a.m. For more information about Red Week, visit the IC Red Facebook page. And with Thanksgiving break around the corner, I'm wondering how the weather is going to be shaping up. Let's toss it over to Bailey in the weather studio to find out more. Bailey?
Well, Noah, the weather will be great for traveling this weekend, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a look at today's forecast. This morning, grab your umbrella because there's a 60% chance of rain in Iowa City. Temperatures will stay where they've been the last couple of days, so expect a high of 56 today. Looking ahead to tonight, skies will be partly cloudy and temperatures will drop to a low of 25. As thousands of people travel around the United States to go home for Thanksgiving this weekend, Iowa City will maintain moderate fall temperatures. If you're traveling Friday, pack your sunglasses. It's going to be sunny. Temperatures will reach a high of 40 and a low of 25. Expect partly cloudy skies for the football game on Saturday. Temperatures will peak at 44 and dip to 28 Saturday night. Jumping to next week, Sunday will be warm with a high of 48 and a low of 33. Skies will be partly cloudy. Finally, Monday, skies will stay partly cloudy with a high of 51 and a low of 34. The weather will be hanging in these next few days, and you can too, Iowa City. Back to you, Noah.
Thanks, Bailey. The popular fast food chain Chick-fil-A has recently announced that they will no longer donate to 2 of their previous charities that were accused of being anti-LGBTQ. On November 18th, the company released a list of charities that they would be supporting for this upcoming year. The list had an emphasis on education, homelessness, and hunger. But 2 charities that were absent from the list were the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Both groups have been criticized for homophobic comments in the past. Chick-fil-A donated around $1.65 million to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and $115,000 to the Salvation Army in 2018. They did receive a lot of backlash for continuing their support for these groups. Get Fresh Cafe in downtown Iowa City hosted an event filled with music and healthy eating Tuesday night. Local acoustic artists showed up ready to perform and show off their talents. The concert was the idea of Scope Productions and an on-campus live music organization. They reached out to Get Fresh with their idea and they agreed to host. In addition, the cafe also donated $1 from each sale that night to the artists that performed. The turnout was amazing and the cafe was packed to the door with people eager to support local artists. A food delivery service called Chomp recently won the Impact Innovation Award from the Iowa City Chamber of Commerce on November 7th at the Toast to Our Communities breakfast. Chomp works similarly to other delivery services like Grubhub and Uber Eats, but co-founder Adam Weeks says that Chomp's human oversight sets it apart from the competitors. The company currently has over 90 drivers working for them and delivers from 135 restaurants in Iowa City. Chomp has a huge focus on local businesses and hopes to continue supporting them in the future. And I heard there was a very exciting game last night at Carver Hawkeye. Let's toss it over to sports to find out more. Guys?
That's right, Noah. Just last night, Iowa women's basketball defended their home winning streak as they took on Princeton. They dominated the court with a final score of 77-75 in overtime.
This was a tough one for the Hawks, who overcame a 13-point deficit in the second quarter. They pulled it together at half, making for an exciting game.
The Hawks led the game going into the final minutes with a victory looking secured, but Princeton's sophomore guard Julia Cunningham made that buzzer-beating three to end regulation, tied at 67s.
The Hawks went down 6 points right away in overtime, but a three from Mackenzie Meyer would bring Iowa momentum they needed to outscore Princeton in the last 2 minutes. Iowa would go on to win this one 77-75.
This team was focused and kept believing, and I'm just so proud of them. I thought we did a great job on the boards. We held them 20% rebounds offensively. We had a really nice third quarter coming out of the locker room. So great job by these women. They're amazing to me.
That was just a big momentum boost, and obviously this is a big one for us after a loss on Sunday. So I think it's just going to give us more momentum when we're in Puerto Rico and have 3 games in 4 days. We're all looking forward to the trip, so I think it's a really big win going into next week.
Like Meyer said, you can catch the Hawks flying south of the border for the Puerto Rico Classico tournament, where they will take on Cincinnati, Townsend, and Washington starting November 27th.
This week in Hawkeye football feels a little bittersweet. We are still celebrating Iowa football's big upset against Minnesota this last weekend, but sadly, this Saturday's game against Illinois will be Iowa's last home game of the season.
And the last time in Kinnick for the seniors. Here's what senior offensive lineman Levi Paulson had to say about saying goodbye.
And spoilers, it's a tearjerker.
As a Hawkeye, from the moment you walk in here, you hear all about these stories about leaving the jersey in a better place and what that means. At first, it's kind of not really understandable or fathomable. You can't really understand what leaving the jersey in a better place is, you know. But as myself, Levi Paulson, number 66, I've owned that jersey for 4 or 5 years now. And at the end of the day, you just hope that once everything's all said and done, once our season's over, the 2018-2019 or 2019-2020 season, once it's over, you just hope that the next person to take the reins of number 66 does exactly what they're supposed to do, and that's leaving it in a better place.
Sheesh, man, is it getting dusty in here or what?
We'll have more from Levi and the rest of the seniors on tomorrow's pregame show as we look at Iowa's matchup with Illinois.
On a happier note, though, Iowa basketball isn't going anywhere. Although Hawkeye football may be wrapping up, basketball is just getting started.
The men's team hosts North Florida tonight in Carver in a preliminary game for the Las Vegas Invitational.
Head coach Fran McCaffrey gave his thoughts about tonight's matchup.
Very good team, veteran club, 4 senior starters. Probably the top team in that league preseason. Really good point guard. They got multiple shooters. I think they made 21, but they shot 47. That's a big number. So they're going to shoot a lot of threes. Mixed defense as well. Compete. Matt's been there a while, and we played him a few years ago. Very good game here with them. So we know the quality of team that we're playing.
Tonight's game tips off at 6 p.m. here at Carver. Well, that is all we have for you today in sports.
We'll make sure to tune in tomorrow for our last home game preview against Iowa football taking on Illinois.
Back to you at the desk, Noah.
And that's all we have for you on this Thursday morning edition of DITV News. Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. If that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on stands now. For DITV News, I'm Noah Gowdy. Have a great day, Iowa City.